The headlines recently are alarming. A police officer executed by a man who was mentally ill. He needed help, but didn't get it. Another man with mental health issues tried to get help, but failed to get it before plowing his car into a crowd of pedestrians in Times Square. Is there a correlation between hot summer weather and these crimes? And why aren't these issues being adequately addressed? Here to discuss this with us is psychotherapist Robby Ludwig, who has written the book, Your Best Age Is Now. Good to have you with us.
Good to be here, especially for such an important topic.
Let's explore this. Is there some correlation that we see a spike in these particular horrendous crimes
during the summer? Yes.
When the weather is so hot.
In fact, they did a study and they found that hot summers, there were more crimes than even cooler summers. So in part it makes sense because during the summer more people are out and about, so they have to interact with one another. And certainly there are more burglaries during this time because people are outside of their homes and they have to interact with more people. So if you are not well, I think it's just you're hot, you have to interact with people, it can make anyone more irritable. And then if you are dealing with a mental illness or other issues, it can trigger people's violent behavior.
Now, is mental illness, is it something that's genetic?
There's definitely a strong genetic component to mental illness. So we do see it running in families. You know, we don't know exactly how people become mentally ill. It is a combination of nature and nurture, but certainly when you see some of the more severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, there's a strong genetic component. And if these disorders are not treated early on, then they can get progressively worse in a way that they can't be treated as easily later on.
Is anger often confusing against mental illness?
Well, anger is a normal emotion that everybody has. Now, the difference between somebody who is struggling with mental health issues and perhaps somebody who is more in control is they have better coping skills. So they are able to neutralize more aggressive feelings, so they're not acting in a more primitive way. And so for somebody who is not well, they can misperceive what's going on around them, and more of their primitive impulses or rage impulses get acted on. But I just want to say, just in all fairness, is that I wish we would get to the point where treating mental illness was like going to the dentist, because there is a big stigma around getting treatment. People are less inclined to get treatment that they need because they feel that people will be biased or prejudiced against them, or they just have an internalized negative concept about what it means to have a mood issue or a thought issue, which is unfortunate. We don't do that to people who have diabetes or high blood pressure. So we certainly shouldn't do it for people who are dealing with depression, anxiety, or the other more serious mental health issues.
Now, why aren't these problems being adequately addressed?
Well, I think in part it's culturally, and then the other piece is always financially. So we have seen a steady deinstitutionalization of mental health opportunities for people who are sick. So instead of spending the time they need in the hospital, what's happening is they're committing crimes, they're being let out, committing crimes, and ending up in prisons. So what we're seeing in our prison systems is that a lot of people have mental health issues that were not treated, and so they're being treated as criminals instead of people who have mental health issues. And as a society, it would really make sense for us to figure out how to get people the treatment they need instead of trying to get them out so quickly. So somebody gets hospitalized, and then the goal is how can we get them out? And people are leaving before they really get the treatment that they need.
So there is that stigma that it's attached to it, and people don't want to come forward.
And also it's expensive. So hospitals are saying, how can I get you out? We'll get you in, we'll get you out. Are you feeling fine? Yeah. then you can go out. And that's premature. So people are roaming around the city, not getting the mental health treatment they need because of expense, or we don't have laws in place that maybe allow people to say, hey, this person is a danger to themselves, and maybe we can commit them to an outpatient facility that might be less expensive. I mean, we do have to find a way to treat people so that they're not victimized by crime, because a lot of people who have mental health issues are victims of crime or committing a crime.
The individual who assassinated the police officer from New York, his girlfriend alerted police that he was having a problem, and couldn't find him in time. There were the warning signs there. The situation with the guy who drove his car into the crowd in Times Square, he said he had tried to go for help, but he was turned away. How do we avoid those things from happening again before disaster strikes?
I think we need to raise awareness. I mean, now we see social media, it's on television, there are copycat crimes, right? For somebody who's not well, they're feeling angry, they can get the idea of what will allow me to show and express my anger. And so basically people are potentially victims if we don't figure out a way to treat people who need to be treated. I mean, it sounds like some of the cases that you described, the person who was driving the car in Times Square, the doctor who went back to his former coworkers and was killing people, or the recent police officer, the single mother of 3 who was harmed by a mentally ill person. You know, these people had severe mental illnesses.